Look up, the sky isn't the same anymore. It's deeper, darker, almost electric. A surreal blend of violet and burnt orange stretches across the heavens. Birds are vanishing into silence, animals are panicking, and the air carries an eerie stillness, like the planet is holding its breath. Then a single crack of lightning slices through the atmosphere. The sky ignites. This isn't a science fiction movie. It's what could happen if Jupiter, the gas giant ruling our solar system, poured its immense atmospheric gases into Earth's fragile sky. But what exactly would unfold if that unimaginable moment ever came true? If you're fascinated by the extreme, the impossible, and the awe-inspiring science behind space, you're in the right place. Subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments, because together we explore the cosmos with curiosity, wonder, and truth. Let's dive into the universe that's waiting just above us. Imagine a world where the sky changes color not because of the setting sun, but because of invading gases from a world far away. The blue we know turns electric, saturated with swirls of purple and orange, as if a giant prism has cracked the sky itself. Birds stop flying. Mammals sense something strange. Nature, almost instinctively, knows something is very wrong. This visual chaos is just the beginning of what might occur if Jupiter's gases ever found their way to Earth. But to understand the magnitude of such an event, we first need to know what Jupiter really is. Jupiter is no ordinary planet. It's the largest in our solar system, a mammoth, swirling ball of gas more than 11 times wider than Earth. While we walk on solid ground, Jupiter doesn't even have a surface as we know it. It's made almost entirely of gas, around 90% hydrogen and 10% helium, with trace amounts of other elements that barely register by comparison. If you were to fall into Jupiter, you wouldn't land. You'd plunge endlessly through layers of dense gas, growing hotter and more pressurized as you approached its unknown core. Scientists still debate what lies at Jupiter's heart. It could be a solid mass or a liquid metallic hydrogen core, compressed by unimaginable gravity. But one thing's certain, it's deep, dangerous, and utterly alien. What keeps all these gases from just drifting away into space? Gravity. Jupiter's sheer mass, more than twice that of all other planets combined, gives it the power to cling tightly to its thick atmosphere. That same gravity shapes moons, bends light, and even slings comets out of the solar system. Now let's shift focus to hydrogen, the most abundant element in the universe, and the core of Jupiter's identity. Hydrogen is simple, just one proton and one electron, but its influence is massive. It's in water, stars, and living cells. It fuels nuclear reactions in the sun and courses through every life form on Earth. Our bodies contain it in bones, joints, muscles, and even our DNA. Some research suggests it may even slow aging when balanced properly in the body. But hydrogen on its own? That's another story. Pure hydrogen isn't just inert gas floating harmlessly in the air. It's volatile, reactive, and under the right conditions, explosively dangerous. Especially when it appears in vast, unbalanced quantities, like those found in Jupiter's atmosphere. To get usable hydrogen on Earth, we usually extract it from water or hydrocarbons through chemical reactions. It's never just floating around freely in large amounts, for good reason. Too much of it disrupts the delicate balance of our atmosphere. Our oxygen-nitrogen mix is a life-sustaining formula. Introduce hydrogen in bulk and that equation collapses. Now add helium into the picture. It's the second main component of Jupiter's air. Helium, in contrast, is far less threatening. It's inert, doesn't burn, and is even used in hospitals to help patients with breathing issues. It's also what makes balloons float and voices squeaky. If Earth suddenly had more helium, we'd mostly notice minor effects, like sound distortion, but nothing life-threatening. The real concern would always be hydrogen. So, let's push the boundaries of imagination and ask, what if Jupiter somehow moved closer to Earth? Say, through some catastrophic cosmic shift, maybe a gravitational disturbance or interstellar collision. As the planet approached, its core began to disintegrate. The hydrogen and helium trapped inside would escape into space, drawn toward Earth by our planet's gravity. This massive infusion of alien gas would hit Earth's atmosphere like a tidal wave. At first, you'd see beauty, brighter skies with surreal, otherworldly colors. Pinkish hues dancing with deep sapphire shades. But the beauty would be fleeting. The water molecules in Earth's air would bind with the incoming hydrogen. The chemistry of the sky would change, subtly at first but then dramatically. Atmospheric pressure would spike. Animals would react in fear, people would suffer headaches, confusion, maybe even fainting. But the real danger hasn't even begun yet. Hydrogen, remember, is highly flammable. And Earth is no stranger to sparks. In fact, our planet experiences over 1.4 billion lightning strikes every year. One of them, just one, would be enough to trigger a catastrophe. A chain reaction would ignite across the planet. Our entire sky, now filled with hydrogen, could turn into a massive explosion. The atmosphere, which includes nitrogen, oxygen, argon, and trace gases, would become fuel for a runaway chemical fire. In moments, Earth's surface would become unrecognizable. Temperatures would soar, not just hot but nearly solar. Imagine heat 3 times that of Venus, or even approaching the sun's photosphere. Everything, oceans, forests, cities, would flash boil or vaporize. The seas would hiss into steam. The clouds would rise in thick white columns, and then vanish into space. No technology could survive it. No shelter could withstand it. This would be extinction, fast, global, and absolute. And even if we could prepare for it, say by replacing all flammable materials with plastics or wood, or banning open flames, it wouldn't help. Nature doesn't wait. Lightning strikes would still happen and the atmosphere would still burn. To prevent this, humanity would need to stop every lightning bolt on Earth. But doing that would destabilize the planet's electrical systems. Lightning plays a role in Earth's balance, from nitrogen cycling to atmospheric cleansing. You can't just remove it without consequences. But let's dial the apocalypse back. What if, instead of suddenly, Jupiter's gases entered Earth's atmosphere gradually, over hundreds or thousands of years? What would that do? Interestingly, a slow hydrogen influx might not cause fiery doom. It could, instead, spark biological change. Microbes might adapt first, evolving to tolerate or even thrive in hydrogen-rich air. Over generations, new species could emerge, radically different from anything we know. Insects might evolve new respiratory systems. Mammals could develop tolerance or perish entirely. The dominant life forms might become organisms we can't even imagine today. The biosphere would reset. Evolution would reroute. And this idea isn't purely fantasy. There's a compelling theory that Earth may once have been the core of a gas giant. Billions of years ago, as the solar system formed, a gas-rich world may have collapsed near the sun. The gases were stripped away, perhaps by powerful solar winds or a collision, leaving only a rocky heart, the Earth we now inhabit. Some even suggest this core once orbited far beyond Jupiter, closer to the outer solar system, and slowly migrated inward. Could this happen to Jupiter someday? It's possible. Asteroids or comets could impact the gas giant, triggering violent reactions in its atmosphere. Over millions of years, it might lose its gaseous shell, revealing a dense core, a planetary skeleton that might one day drift into a new orbit, or even become Earth-like in structure. And if that happened, if Jupiter's core emerged, cooled, and stabilized, maybe life could begin there too. Maybe it would become a second Earth millions of years from now. A new blue planet born from the wreckage of a gas giant. But the changes wouldn't stop with Earth. If our planet somehow began to retain Jupiter's gases, it would need to dramatically increase in mass. This alone would trigger a cascade of effects. Gravity would skyrocket. The weight pressing down on every living being would double, triple, or more. Buildings would collapse under their own weight. Mountains would crumble. Blood circulation in humans and animals might fail. Birds would be grounded forever. Even flight by machines would become impossible in the dense, heavy air. Breathing would be harder, not just because of gas composition but because of sheer pressure. Now, extend that idea further. What if Earth became like Jupiter, a gas giant in its own right? For that to happen, Earth's core would need to grow massively, becoming heavy enough to attract and retain massive layers of gas. In that scenario, life as we know it wouldn't survive. The increasing gravity alone would flatten structures and crush living tissue. Plants would fail to photosynthesize properly. Oceans would be pulled into extreme tides. Earth would transform from a life-hosting world to an oppressive sphere of crushing density and toxic clouds. The moon wouldn't stand a chance either. Earth's stronger gravity would begin pulling at its only natural satellite, tugging it closer and closer with each orbit. Eventually, tidal forces would rip it apart. The result? A new ring system around Earth, billions of lunar fragments circling the planet, just like Saturn's majestic rings. It would be beautiful, and tragic. This eerie possibility also leads to a speculative thought. What if Saturn wasn't always a gas giant? What if, like Earth, it once had a solid surface, oceans, and perhaps even life? Maybe its current rings are the shattered remains of moons or neighboring planets pulled apart by gravitational forces long ago. Perhaps, deep in the past, Saturn underwent its own transformation, its core gaining mass, its gravity intensifying, and its atmosphere thickening until it became what it is today. such changes are violent and irreversible. But back to our home planet. If hydrogen from Jupiter didn't arrive in an instant but slowly accumulated over thousands of years, evolution might write a different story. Life could adapt. Microorganisms might mutate to use hydrogen as a key part of their metabolism. Over eons, the biosphere could become unrecognizable, a hydrogen-based life web unlike anything humanity has ever seen. Yet these new creatures wouldn't be immune to danger. One major risk still looms: fire. As long as hydrogen coexists with oxygen, the potential for ignition remains. Unless our atmosphere's oxygen levels fell drastically, which would create its own host of problems, Earth would always sit on a flammable edge. Suppose, in this altered future, lightning ceases entirely. Let's say Earth develops some electromagnetic shield or natural balance that stops all sparks in the sky. The hydrogen-rich atmosphere might stay intact. But at what cost? Lightning isn't just a spectacle. It's part of Earth's electrical ecosystem. It helps fix nitrogen into the soil, supporting plant life. Without lightning, the food chain could collapse in subtle but devastating ways. Plant growth could falter, soil quality could diminish, and agricultural systems might fall into decline. We'd have traded one disaster for another, slowly unraveling life, not in a burst but in a slow suffocation. And if life on the surface becomes impossible, perhaps it would retreat underground or into the oceans, if they still exist. Creatures might evolve to breathe a changed atmosphere, or absorb nutrients in entirely new ways. Earth would be alive, just not for humans. But let's zoom out. These catastrophic visions also give rise to incredible questions. Could gas giants like Jupiter be hiding solid worlds beneath their swirling storms? Is it possible that, somewhere inside that immense planet, a core like Earth waits, ancient, compressed, and maybe even capable of hosting life if it were ever exposed? Some scientists think so. Jupiter's core might be made of rock, metal, or exotic materials formed under pressures we can barely simulate on Earth. If someday the planet's atmosphere were stripped, by a collision, a nearby supernova, or some future stellar event, we might glimpse a core that resembles the rocky planets of the inner solar system. And what if that newly revealed planet found its way into a habitable zone? With the right temperature, light, and atmospheric balance, could life begin anew? It's speculative, but not impossible. After all, some believe that's exactly what happened to Earth. According to a bold hypothesis, our world may once have existed inside a gas giant, not as a full planet, but as a core surrounded by massive layers of gas. Over time, solar winds or gravitational encounters might have stripped away those gases, leaving the solid Earth exposed to the sun. From there, life began. In that view, gas giants aren't just mysterious worlds, they're the birthplaces of future Earths. So perhaps, in the distant future, when humans are gone and Earth has been reshaped by forces we can't control, a new world will emerge. Maybe it will come from Jupiter or Saturn, or some hidden gas giant in a far-off galaxy. And maybe it will carry within it the same potential Earth once held, the potential for oceans, skies, life, and consciousness. But for now we remain here, beneath a sky that's still blue, on a planet that still breathes with us, not against us. We're lucky. In this moment, the gases of Jupiter stay where they belong, and Earth remains a fragile, balanced miracle in the void. Let's keep it that way.